Hey, welcome. This is the process. My name is Dr. John Bush. We're at lesson 80, getting deep into the team time of offense compared to rushing and passing. And as you saw before, looking at total team time of offense, it associated with rushing attempts. And the best teams that had the highest time of offense tended to rush more than teams that didn't. Okay, so I had to break it out into home time of offense versus away. So lesson 80 is home time of offense, and lesson 81 will be away time of offense. So I just want to confirm, is this something that's across both sectors, or is this specific for home versus away, both or neither or something? So let's see what it's all about here. Again, we're trying to help you win your fantasy football drafts. I think it gives you at least a 60% chance of winning your league, at least in my data that I found, my personal database. That's what it's been for me. Uh, so hopefully you can join on, and of course that's why you're listening to the process. The few that are, and good for you. And let's continue here with home time of offense here. This is, or if you go back to the previous lesson, uh, I did sectors. I did the top eight in time of offense. The above average would have been the next eight. The next eight is below average, and the final eight are the bottom or the worst team, and they had the least time of offense. And we're going to compare that to rushing attempts per game in a statistical way. It's not a guess, it's not feelings. We're actually using statistical analysis here. And this is just showing the database here, the home team type here, the top, the above average, the below average, and the worst. And then I actually have the rushing attempt numbers for that team for that year. And this is across 2016 to 20, so the last 5 years. So you got a lot of data to look at. And then I colorized those rushing attempts, and you can pretty much see there's a trend here. The worst having a lot of the worst rushing attempts, and the top having very few of the bottom rushing attempts. In fact, they have a lot of the high rushing attempts. So looks like we're going to confirm what I found previous, but specifically for home-based games. And so let's get a little deeper looking at the data here. This is an ANOVA analysis of variance. This compares the groups and looks at the variation around the mean and asks the question, are these means random? In other words, any difference we see random, or is it specific and the variation associated with the treatment, which in this case is time of offense. So the A was top, above average, below average, and this is the worst here. And notice the rushing attempts tended to average at 29.3 at the top teams that had the highest home offense, and the teams that had the bottom time of offense tended to be 24.5. So we're talking, what is that? What is that? Is that almost five rushing attempts? So you know, I didn't look at yards. I just want to look at tendency of rushing, and there is a difference there. At least it looks like it when we look at the probability p-value If it's below 0.05, we accept that the means, in fact, are different and not due to randomness, and we can accept that. And we then use the Pookie Test, which is the highest significant difference, and we look at each of the groups here. So Group A is the top teams, and if you compare the above average, below average, or worst, that's treatment pair A versus B, C, and D, we see that the top teams tended to rush more than all the other teams. So the top 8 rushing more than the, what is that, the what they're two, was that 26? Is that right? No, that's 24. 24. So the other 24 teams here. Can't do simple math here. Anyway, and I show the little blue line here to show the top, and the draft picks are furious here. I have a little alarm here. I'm drafting in about 10 leagues right now while I'm doing this. B versus C is above average versus below, no difference. But above average versus the bottom, that's B versus D, is significant, and below average and worst are not significant. But to me, the take home is you want to find the team that is dominating in offensive time at their home games. And you could certainly look at last year's stats here and think about how that applies. I use it early in the season. I try to get a handle on what teams are doing well. And again, you're a little behind on the data, but you know, we have to kind of watch and look for waiver wire trade opportunities based on this new reality. Okay. So, good news, rushing and time of offense continues to be associated together. What about passing attempts? Here's the actual data, and it doesn't look as specific or as trendy as the previous, but we didn't find that to be significant with total team away and home games. And again, this is just home team time. And if we look at the treatment groups, we're talking 35 passing attempts versus 34. Doesn't sound like it's real, and the p-value is above 5. So we reject this and assume that any difference that is in passing attempts is due to randomness. And so we confirm total time now. Home time domination only applies to rushing, not to the passing. So I still think that's very intriguing and interesting here. And I think that gives you some uncommon knowledge. I'll say that. Of course, I don't know if this gets out, then it may be more common. But I think we have an opportunity, certainly early in the season, to look at what teams are dominating offense and make some conclusions, and maybe, like I said, trades or waiver wires and daily sports, fantasy betting, whatever, the FanDuels, the whatnot. This might be to an advantage as well. You'll have another factor that you can use to go after $1 million here. Send me my 10% if I helped you out. Okay, so that was, I believe, the last slide. So that was quick and didn't take too long, and that's just the way it is. Some of my lessons take long time, some don't, and you can hear the bells ringing that says I need to check on my drafting. So come back, lesson 81. We'll look at the mysterious question of away. Teams that dominate away from their home time of offense, do they have an advantage in rushing or passing, both or neither? We'll find out. Uh, Maybe we'll be surprised. Who knows? Okay, come back. We're having fun.